Good morning. Today we are doing a listening challenge. I will be showing clips from videos, movies, and songs, all which feature drumline in the soundtrack, and it is up to you to figure out if that drumline is a virtual computer-generated drumline or a real drumline. Oh man, let's see if you can figure it out. The challenge starts now. Pay attention during this intro. So what do you think? Do I have the nerve to use fake, computer-generated sounds in my Drumline bass channel? Yeah, I do. What you just heard was sounds from Virtual Drumline 2.5. However, I did end up recording this with actual drums. And the reason I use virtual drumline sometimes is because it's a whole heck of a lot easier and definitely a lot faster to do it that way. So we're gonna see who actually took the time to record an actual drumline rather than just write it out in music software. Starting with the best drumline video ever. I mean, wow, that's gotta be true if it says it in the title. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is a real tough one, alright? It's a real toughie. Some things that make me suspicious about this performance. Number one, this entire minute-plus performance was perfectly in time with a click at 105 beats per minute. But that by itself doesn't make this fake, because they could have recorded this with multiple linear clicks. Number two, it is suspiciously clean. There's not one single note in there that is dirty or not together. However, these guys look like a pretty solid group, so they could just be really good. Number three, the track is clearly mixed, such as the cymbals and bass drum unisons are not overpowering the rest of the ensemble. However, they could just have somebody who's really good at mixing. The drums that we hear are Pearl drums. In a virtual drumline, they sampled Pearl drums for their sounds. But even though they covered up the logo, they are using Pearl drums. So how the heck do we tell if this is virtual or real? Well, I went ahead and wrote out the first 4 bars in virtual drumline, so let's compare. So I listened to this with 5 different sets of headphones and 3 different sets of speakers, and I am 69% sure that what you are hearing is real drums, not virtual drumline. It's hard to tell because the tenors and the cymbals sound exactly the same in both, but the snare and bass tuning is quite a bit different, and the bass resonance is very, very different. However, with audio effects, I'm sure you can adjust it to make them sound like that, so I'm not completely sure. But what do you think? Compose a comment and let me know if you think this drumline is using real drums or virtual drumline. Memes! Moving on, we have a video from the Detroit Pistons Drumline. So what do you think? Is their tenor line able to magically get drum sounds out of their practice pads? No, they're not. They are using virtual drumline. And I get it. The soft ticking of a practice pad, it doesn't sound anywhere near as cool as drums. And this video is really well edited, it's very flashy, and clearly these guys have a lot of chops. However, what would have made it better for me is if they layered the audio of what they're playing over the virtual drumline track, making a hybrid virtual/real drumline, kind of like Will Smith in that one movie. And that is exactly what the Kutztown University drumline did in this video here. If you listen very closely, you can hear the cymbal and bass drum sounds subtly layered underneath of this video. And I very much enjoy hearing the sounds of the actual drummers rather than having a computer telling me what I should be hearing. But what do you think? Compose a comment and let me know which one of these epic quarantine drumline videos you like better. Next we have Mario Kart 8, the Dry Desert track. So did the sound design team record an actual drumline for this? Nah, This is Virtual Drumline. I can recognize that bottom bass drum anywhere. So hopefully you've developed enough ear training in the past 5 minutes to realize that this is very obviously a real drumline. In fact, it's the Blue Devils Entertainment drumline. And there's a very cool behind the scenes video of these recordings. I will leave that link in the description. So by hiring real musicians to do this soundtrack, it gives it a raw and realistic sound to it, which I think really helps bring your favorite animated characters to life. But what about a movie that's about drumline? What's that one called again? Oh yeah, Drumline, the movie. Would they use virtual drums in this? Well, let's find out. Once again, hopefully you can tell this by now, but that was definitely real drums. In fact, it was Morris Brown's Drumline recorded and performed their own original cadences for this movie. But if you want to hear all these cadences written out with Virtual Drumline, I did that for a video a couple years ago. I'll leave that in the description. But what about that other Drumline movie? What's that one called? Oh yeah, Drumline, A New Beat. I mean, they kept the recordings authentic in the first movie, they'll probably do the same thing for this one. Okay, so this is another tough one right here, another toughie. And honestly, this sounds pretty fake. Like, I thought this was fake drums at first, but we're gonna go back to my suspicion list here. 3 of these 4 things are not happening. The beats do not line up with the click. It is pretty clean overall, but there is a little bit of dirt in there. And the sounds we are hearing are not Pearl drums, they are indeed Mapex. Mapex has a very unique sound. However, there is definitely mixing/mastering going on. Honestly, too much of it in my opinion, which is why I think this sounds fake. But just to be sure, I wrote this out in Virtual Drumline, so we can compare these directly. Listening to those back to back, it's very obvious that they are not using Virtual Drumline in this movie, but there are definitely effects used in the soundtrack. I think they just overused the compression feature to make everything loud for some reason. Because there are definitely soft dynamics and low tap heights used in these cadences, but everything being played back is just loud. And I don't know why they would want to do that, because it makes it sound fake. And this is another one where I'm only like 69% sure that they are using real drums, so compose a comment with what you think. Vice Principals, this is one of my favorite shows, and they use Drumline a whole lot in the soundtrack. What you just heard was the intro, and that is real drums. However, they do not use real drums all the time. Warning, this part's like offensive or whatever.
Look at you, just rock hard without all that power.
I know you like to think about my dick, but don't. It's private property.
Eat Gamby.
No, thank you. But have fun imagining it, though. Tats. Fucker.
So that was Virtual Drumline in the background. While most shows or movies use Drumline in the soundtrack to amp up a sporting event, this show uses Drumline to amp up just random dialogue and conflict, and it's pretty hilarious. By the way, those tenor shot sensors, were those Virtual Drumline, or is that real tenor shot sensors? I don't know, compose a comment. And also the compose a comment effect, is that real Drumline, or Virtual Drumline, or is it something else? Oh man, only a true pro would know. Okay, so you should now be an expert in what real drumline sounds like versus virtual drumline, so we are going to do a rapid fire round. I will be playing just 4 seconds of some random songs, and you have to figure out if what you're hearing is real drumline or virtual drumline.
Let's roll.
boy.
Oh yeah, you guys like that throwback picture right there? Anyways, hopefully this video was informative and hopefully you can make the distinction between what is real and what is virtual drumline. Now I'm not saying using virtual drumline is any better or any worse than not using virtual drumline. I just find it very interesting how sometimes it's kind of hard to make the distinction between the two. Also let me know in the comments any other songs or movies or shows that use virtual drumline or real drumline in the soundtrack. And don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that Liberty Bell and click that like button. And also consider buying a custom t-shirt such as this one. I will leave that link in the description. And have a good morning.